Yo, gang. Well, we here. Today, we have another episode of the Hall of Menaces. The reason why I took a deep breath like that is because of the guy we got covered today. I've covered plenty of menaces, but this guy might stand head and shoulders on top of the rest of them. Unlike a lot of the characters, not gonna lie, I really do hate this guy. But he's still a menace nonetheless. But today, we're talking about a guy who went from Diddy victim to one of the biggest menaces I've ever seen. Today, we're talking about Keyaru from Redo of Healer. I wanted to make this video for a long time, but for logistics, I couldn't really make it. The thing is, I had to find a perfect way to discuss Keyaru, from his backstory to everything. The reason it's been a long time between videos is because I had to watch all 12 episodes of the anime. And thank God I'm done. Because before my review, I'm going to give a heads up. This is probably the first anime where I genuinely disliked it. Like I genuinely thought it was bad. I already wasted enough time, so let's start with Exhibit A. Alright bro, let's begin Exhibit A, the three heroes. Alright, so the backstory. Keyaru is a citizen of Lanareta, a village in the Jewel Kingdom. A kingdom filled with the absolute worst people you could ever meet. Like, to give you an idea, someone like Big Jeff would fit right at home there. He'd fit there like a glove. Like, I can count on one hand the amount of villains that aren't laughably evil. So we begin with these four heroes fighting a demon king, or really queen, and after Keyaru one-shots her, he gets a stone called the Philosopher's Stone that he used to reverse time and create an alternate timeline. The reasons why I'll specify later. So the show reveals how he gets his powers, which is through a ritual that summons a fairy that kisses him on the eye, which gives him the power to heal and see the stats of everybody. So he can also copy other people's abilities and do some really advanced alchemy, which comes in handy with his revenge. So after this, he's selected to go to the Jewel capital under auspices of the eldest princess Flare. And while he can heal, he also has to experience the pain of the injury, which is on display when he regenerates an arm for the swordswoman Kureha, who will later join him. And yes, he had to experience the pain of getting his arm cut off. This is one of two factors that will come into what will happen to him. The other factor is that his genetic and bodily fluids, if ingested by another person, makes their level cap go up, aka they have more room to get stronger. I can't make this up. This is actually in the show. So these two factors lead to the kingdom treating him like garbage. Like after he healed Kureha, his punishment was to be put on a special drug that would dull his pain, but it turned him into a crackhead. And combined with the properties of his fluids, yeah, he kinda got treated like a snitch in prison. And the snitch's cellmate is his gang's leader. If I could sum up Keyaru in one sentence, I'd say he's someone so traumatized and desensitized that it renders him nearly inhuman and thus capable of almost anything. So when he gets resistant to the Scarecrow Fent, that's what I'm gonna call the drug that they're giving him, he decides to enact his plan. So he kills somebody and disguises them as him, and he disguises him as this guy named Renard. He will be very important later, and infiltrates Flare's room. There he reveals himself and then proceeds to play a game by breaking her fingers one by one, then healing them, and then proceeding to do it all over again. All the while, in order to win, she'll try not to scream. But it doesn't work. I've heard in the light novel he does this over 50 times, which at that point she's probably developed a pain tolerance. And after that he goes full Fleece Johnson mode and gives Flare a choice between the easy way or the hard way. The choice is yours. When editing this video, I'll probably play part of the actual interview this is from. And for anybody who ever watched the Boondocks, this should be very familiar to you. So after that whole ordeal, he changes Flare's face and erases her memory, and basically made her into his first concubine, or toy as he calls her. Keyword first. He even gives her the new name Freya, and tells her that they were once lovers. Okay, so that's what happened to Flare, the magic hero. Now let's go on to the other hero that suffered at Keyaru's hands. That being Blade, the sword hero. To which I can summarize, if Diddy was female, she'd be Blade. And also when in armor, he's often mistaken for a guy. So what she do is she go around town, select a woman she likes, and basically invite her to the Diddy party. She's infamous of this to the point that when the father of one of her victims comes up to her and tries to attack her, she names off 3 victims' names before the father tells her the name, which gives context to the type of person Blade is. She also treated Keyaru like garbage. So when Keyaru gets his revenge against her, he disguises himself as a girl named Keyaru and intentionally falls for Blade's trap. When he busts Blade and catches her in 4K and reveals himself as a dude, he decides to give her a challenge. So while as a girl, some thugs tried to gang up on Keyaru, so he beat up and drugged them with aphrodisiacs. And Blade's basically placing the survival whore with them. And if she doesn't survive until the morning, he'd be eaten alive. Needless to say, she doesn't make it. And Keyaru even gets a new weapon from this, called Ragnarok. A weapon that grants Keyaru the ability to, and get this, heal from any wound instantly. So if somebody doesn't fire an insta-kill, he's not gonna take any damage. Alright, so that concludes Exhibit A. Let's go on to Exhibit B. Now we're on Exhibit B, Norn and her forces. So Flare has a little sister named Norn, and Norn is actually worse than her elder sister, mainly because her father showed no love to her since Flare could do magic and Norn couldn't. So when it seems Flare was killed, Norn ain't missed her one bit. Like, she hated her. Alright, so what would Norn do? Okay, first we gotta talk about one of her captives, Renard. Because Renard was framed for the supposed murder of Flare. And oh, he took it personal. Like, the levels of crash out he did on Lanaretta, Keyaru's home village, need to be studied. He and his army crashed out so bad it started a chain of events that left only one villager remaining, a random kid. But before then, let's talk about Keyaru's dealings with Renard. So when Keyaru found out about Renard crashing out on Lanaretta, notes he still was disguised as Keyaru, he also took it personally. So Keyaru had Renard transformed into a girl, and he locked this man in a tent at the mercy of his own soldiers, while the tent was burning. So after that, Keyaru tries to save his childhood friend Anna, but she dies before he can even say a word to her. So naturally he was beyond angry. I had a couple of episodes later to the final episode, episode 12, the confrontation with Norn. So Norn and her forces are invading this town, where human and demon are living equally, mainly because Jorel abandoned the town 20 years ago. Thus the town was spared from Jorel's racist policies. Really speciesist. What's notable is Keyaru begins having trouble with this one guy named Hawkeye, to which one of his concubines named Setsuna actively says that Keyaru can't win. But with Ragnarok, he manages to beat Hawkeye. And before we get into this next part, a note about Setsuna is that she's an ice wolf. One thing about ice wolves is that should someone learn an ice wolf's true name, that ice wolf would be tethered to that person for life. Which in layman's terms means the ice wolf would swear complete and utter fealty to that person and be completely loyal to them. Keyaru has done this with Setsuna, and thus Setsuna is arguably Keyaru's most loyal concubine, or really slave as he sometimes refers to her as. Yeah, Keyaru himself isn't exactly a lot better than the Jewel Kingdom, though he presents himself as a savior, and in my personal opinion, generally believes he is one. Alright, so what happened to Norn? So Keyaru knocks Norn unconscious, ties her up, and basically interrogates her, getting her to confess to her crimes. And he beats the life out of her. After this, to be honest, this is probably the worst thing he's done, and to be honest, it's one of the craziest things I've seen in my life. He has Freya drugged up on aphrodisiacs, and Keyaru actually changed her face back to normal, entered the room in a dog outfit, and Norn is forced to play a game of Sweet Home Alabama. To all my viewers from Bama, this has nothing to do with you. To be honest, this song kind of ruined your reputation. So the point of the game is, if Norn can last until the morning, then Keyaru will let her go. Knowing him, I doubt he was ever going to keep the promise anyway, so Norn loses fast. And this is where we learn that Norn actually doesn't really hate Flare, she just wants Flare to notice her, hence that's why she's so depraved. So after Norn loses, Keyaru erases Norn's memories and changes her face, just like he did with her sister. And he changed Norn into Ellen, Keyaru's long-lost little sister. To be honest, his concubines probably share 1 IQ between them. Never mind, they could probably just think that Ellen was his adoptive sibling. So, we're done with Exhibit B, and given the evidence on deck, he gets a pass easily with flying colors. It's like he's among the top 3. The reason why this video was so rough is because, as you can tell, I haven't done a trial in a minute. And also I'm currently knocking somebody off the Hall of Menaces. And that someone is Oldna Poseidon from Heavy Metal L Game. I personally feel like he hasn't done enough stuff to quantify being a menace, so he's knocked off. I'm considering giving him a trial so he can regain his position, since now I actually know how to do one without getting copyright striked, so he just has a temporary suspension. He's not formally expelled. Anyways, now that this is over, let's go back to doing anime reviews. And next time we're going to be reviewing Hyper Psychic Keyaruga from 1989, an anime created by Satomi Mikuriya, an infamous anime creator. So, till then, like, subscribe, and comment down below. In the meantime, later fools.